Every time you choose, you also choose not. And the choose not is far more significant than the choice that we actually make. That might sound like nonsense, but let me break it down. So, I have potentially an infinite number of possible choices to make in the present moment. I could go in so many different directions. And the second I make a choice, all of those other possibilities collapse into nothingness, where they came from. And now we've made this choice. And then from that choice, the infinite number of possibilities open up from there, but they're different because of the choice that I just made. And this is like, there's no way to talk about this concept without limiting it, because language is never going to like do us justice here. So this is assuming free will. And one thing that I say about free will is if you don't believe in free will, you don't have it. But also, just because you believe in free will doesn't mean that you've got it, because it takes a high degree of self-awareness to find out like what the laws of nature are that are operating on you, what the laws of the universe are that are operating on you, your own programs that you've taken on from various sources, like all this stuff that's occurring inside of you, that there's actually no freedom in it. You are just running a program. You are just like a cog in the machine. And I think free will is a very special thing that we kind of discover as we explore. And like, even in the instance where using the same concept that I began the video with, we're choosing and we're also choosing not. All of these programs and influences and laws of nature in the universe that are operating on us are going to influence the thing that we choose and the things that we choose not in every instance. We're going to influence the path that we end up walking, all of the string of decisions that we make that create our future. So just because like you're aware doesn't mean that you're completely free from all of these other forces. Like, it would take an incredible amount of self-awareness to be able to, like, an inconceivable, incomprehensible amount of self-awareness and freedom to be able to choose everything without any external influence at all. Because we're like, even if you have no like philosophical background, or you haven't looked at things like epistemology, which is like the study of knowledge itself, and how can we know that anything is true? Because every time we validate a truth, we validate it with another assumption. And so there's just like all of these assumptions that are holding up our realities. And if you start to question them, reality crumbles extremely quickly, no matter who you are. So this is a thing that I've come back to over and over again, even in the journals, like, but in my own life as well, like privately, I think about this. Like, if we're choosing and we're choosing not, and all of these other things are acting upon us, one thing that comes strongly to my awareness is like, you got to savor those choices, those truly informed, self-aware choices, those moments where you can feel all of these forces in motion, you can feel everything operating, but you know that there's a better choice to be made, and you actually like override the system, or you just change something. One thing that I used to do, and I've actually got the tattoo on my chest still from when I was like 18, is just make a different decision than I would have, regardless of what I thought the outcome was going to be. Like, don't try to know what you're actually going to change down the future. Like, just do something differently. And then I feel like I learned a lot doing that, even though you end up with a lot of quote unquote mistakes and destruction. But even one of the lessons is learning that destruction isn't inherently bad. When you destroy everything, when you like erase everything, or you remove everything, or you do the negative, you get rid of shit, it creates space for new stuff to grow. Like if you like destroy your relationship, then there's nothing taking up the space in your life for relationships, so then you can like try out different relationships and find something new and different. Or if you like destroy or like remove your home and you no longer have your home, then it's like, well, now I can fill in that gap with something different. But if we just keep doing the same things over and over again, we fall victim to or fall victim sounds like harsh, but it does feel like that. Like you're not free. You're just a cog in the machine of your own machine in a way. So why am I saying any of this? Honestly, I think I'm reacting to seeing others just repeat the same programs, and I've got to get used to that because it's so simple to see it in everybody else, right? Like, why are you doing that again? Or like, why are you making that choice? You have all these other amazing choices, and if you keep making these bad choices, you're going to dramatically reduce the availability of good choices in the future. That's true. But like, you can go full philosopher on me and be like, there is no good and bad, there is no right and wrong. Like, you could just do whatever you want for your whole life and it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It's the same as like, you have free will. If you don't believe in free will, you don't have it. It's the same with like meaning. If you believe everything's meaningless, then you're going to create a life without meaning, because you have to create the reality to support your assumptions and beliefs. It's like such a simple thing, just to like, such a like simple in the sense that like that's something I can say in one sentence that could completely waste your life. Everything is meaningless. 3 words. Or like, free will doesn't exist. 4 words. You could just like, with those simple things, you could just limit yourself so much. And what's coming into my mind now, like, I don't know anything. I'm not saying I know anything. These are just my thoughts and feelings in the present moment. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter if you're right or wrong. Like, people try to be right about this stuff. Like, they want to be intellectually assured that they're correct, that free will doesn't exist, or they want a pat on the back for knowing the truth that life has no inherent meaning. But like, how does that serve you? And one of my friends often says, like, one of the best ways to test a philosophy is to just imagine what it would look like if you embodied it totally. Like, if you lived by it, and it wasn't just like a armchair philosophy, the way you just talk shit with your mates about it. Like, if you actually had to live by it as if it was your code, like It was like your fucking religion. You lived that shit. What would your life look like? And when I think of a life that's lived with the belief that everything is meaningless, I've met plenty of people who subscribe very strongly to that. They're called nihilists, and some of them take pride in their nihilism, because they think that if somehow they've subscribed to it as the absolute truth. Like, this is an absolute truth of reality, so I'm superior because I've figured it out. Similar, another one that's like not related to anything that I have any of my own emotional reaction to is everything is suffering. Like Eastern cultures, and I'm not sure where the true origin of it, but I hear ripples of it in like Buddhism and Hinduism and that kind of area of the world. And also, I don't know if it's like the white version of these actual truths, because that often happens when things get appropriated. They get distorted out of their original meaning. But everything is suffering. Another very simple 3 words that could shape the entire trajectory of your life. A little assumption. Everything is suffering. That's what this is about. Our purpose is just to learn to endure the suffering. What if you're locked in a belief and it was like your fundamental belief about reality, your main core principle for life, that like everything is beauty, or like life is about love. You meet those people that, like I said, like people who fully embody these things, like these principles, as if it's like their religion, you know? I've met the people that say everything is meaningless, and quite often they're just absolute mess. I've also met people who think everything is love, and they embody that to the total fullest. And, not everybody's cup of tea. You might think they're a bit strange. Like they just seem to be off in their own little fairy tale world a little bit. But I would definitely rather be that person than the person who believes everything's meaningless because they don't have any love. But yeah, I guess I wonder what mine would be. Like if I traced back all of my principles and like assumptions and things. What's in my mind really loud at the moment is like balance. Like everything needs to be balanced. Which is, I don't know what ramifications it has to have that like deeply encoded into who I am. But these are like, reactions to experiences and things as well. Like this, it's not like we just like pick a thing to subscribe to and then like see what happens with it. What an interesting journal. I wonder what like different people watching this, what's coming up for you. Like what are the fundamental principles that you live your life by that maybe you don't even realize? Maybe in the moment you're just like, oh, of course, this is what I think. Like this is a major thing that's running my decision making, the path that I'm walking. When I'm choosing and choosing not, I always choose in alignment with this core belief that everything is suffering, or everything is meaningless, or everything is love, or everything needs to be balanced, or it doesn't have to be an everything is statement, but that's kind of like the words that have ended up coming through this, because it sounds like if everything is this, then it's quite a all-encompassing statement about reality. Everything is chaos. Everything is absurd. There's like a whole philosophy around absurdism, like where you just can't find any other explanation for like what it is to be a human. Like it's just absurd. Absurdism is quite interesting, and it's one where it's cool because, like I said, like if you fully embodied like meaninglessness, or you fully embodied love, what would happen if you fully embodied absurdism? Like, I don't think that any two people would be similar, because the nature of absurdity is like, you're just, it's not supposed to make sense. Now that is like nihilism but fun. That's like nihilism but like cheeky and playful and more lovey and human, like absurdism. Because it's still saying like, we can't make any sense of this, which is essentially what nihilists are saying. We can't make any sense of this, so we're going to take the superior position and say everything is meaningless and call it a day. And like, yeah, this is the truth. Anybody who argues with it is clearly not as intellectual as I. They cannot understand the truth of reality. But absurdism is, it's more honest with itself, I feel. It's like, yeah, we can't make sense of this, but we're not going to like try to. We're just going to accept that everything is absurd. And I don't know anything about absurdism. I don't know anything about nihilism. Like I'm saying, I'm just, these are my little bits and pieces that I've picked up, swirling around in my consciousness, and I'm expressing it in the moment. But yeah, absurdism, like maybe that's something that I should revisit and explore. But also, I don't know, I'm on my path. I know what I'm doing. This is just a moment where I'm like, zooming back out and looking at the bigger picture and all the pieces and different things that are going on and different ways of knowing and being and moving through life. If you enjoyed this style of journal, click the like button for me, leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and go check out the links in the description below.